Okay, greetings. I'm Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, today with more Pillar Low tabletop games. This episode, we bring you Civilization A New Dawn, another board game inspired by the computer games, inspired by the old board game. Um, you will play as a civilization, the leader, and an ability. There will be a map, various things to go after, like barbarians, resources, natural wonders, and city states. And then there will be agendas to complete towards winning the game. As part of the setup, you'll have your player color and everything that comes with it. You'll have your civilization with your setup for your focus bar. There'll be various cards with various effects that you can do at various levels. When you take an action with that card, it resets to the 1 and pushes up the others. So in a way, there's kind of this programming aspect to the game, which is interesting. Anyway, I'll put it back for now. There's a whole map setup, and then we'll have a first player who will be in charge of the event dial. At the start of the round, except for the first round, the event dial will move one space clockwise. So it'll go from the barbarian respawn to nothing to barbarians move to trade goods from mature cities to more movement and more barbarians come back. On your turn, what you do is you will take your focus card of your choice and do what it says based on what it says and the point of the focus bar that's on. And reset it. Here's what they all do towards helping you win the game. We have culture cards. What culture does is gives you control tokens. Control tokens are placed on this terrain or lower and adjacent to friendly cities. What you want to do is surround your cities with control tokens to make them mature, which gives you trade tokens when the event comes up. Worth noting, water. You cannot play control tokens on water because they just won't. Nobody can really control the water. So if you ever need to surround your city, as long as you have control tokens or water, it'll still count as mature. So, like, let's say you had a city here. So we have control tokens, water, and empty space. That city will be mature. Control tokens are important for taking control of resources. You get them, you can spend them, and then they're gone. Have fun getting more of them. Natural wonders. You get them, you spend them, you can't use it again until next turn. You cannot place a control token where there is a barbarian, or a city, state, or another city. But yeah, building that up will be important. There's science. Science lets you advance your tech dial. Number of spaces equal to the focus bar as a number. So you can probably set off at 3 on a reasonable basis early on. Every time you advance your tech dial to the next stage, you get to upgrade any one of your cards to that level, regardless of whatever level it's at. When you upgrade to when you hit 24, it'll reset back to 19 afterwards, I believe. No, I think it resets back to 15 for the next point. So you got to figure out what cards you're looking to upgrade, and what other extra special fun stuff you're looking at. Well, there's a point I should be bringing up as I'm bringing up the focus cards. Over the course of the game, you can get trade tokens. They go on your cards. You can have a maximum of 3 per card. For culture, it's an extra control token when you do the action. For science, it's an extra tactile advancement. And then we'll go on to economy. Economy shows you how many caravans you get to control. You'll get to move caravans from your capital and I believe your mature cities, I think. Yeah, capital city or mature cities. And they'll move from there. They can move towards city-states to get trade tokens for that type. Or they can go into opponent cities and get their diplomacy cards. You can only have 1 diplomacy card from each of your opponents. And if you ever attack them, they are lost. You have to give them back. Every trade token on the card increases movement. Their terrain is based on the focus bar and lower. Yeah, have fun navigating through mountains and desert and forest. Anyway. Industry starts out at pottery level. You can build a world wonder. So the world wonders start out with an ancient wonder available. The cost is met with where the card is on your focus bar. So this is worth 4. Resources count as 2 if they match. Let's say you have a diamond and an oil, or you're patient enough and waited for it to get to 5, so you had one of the 2. You can build that. It has to go underneath one of your cities that doesn't already have a wonder. And then the next wonder underneath the stack will get flipped up. Trade tokens on the industry card count as an extra point of production towards building them. Alternatively, you can build a city on a space of the terrain type or lower within spaces of a friendly space depending on the card. At pottery level, it's only 2 spaces. In order to build on this mountain, I would have to wait for the card to get up to slot 5. But the nice thing about having cities together is those control tokens will count for both cities towards making them mature. Let's see. You cannot build on any space that contains a component other than a caravan or a friendly control token. If built on a caravan, the components share the space. If built on a friendly control token, it's removed the map and returned to its player. You cannot build adjacent to a city. There has to be room to breathe. You can't build adjacent to a city state because they don't like that. Yeah. You cannot build on or count through a water space unless the card lets you do it. And you cannot count through rival spaces like control tokens in cities or barbarians. Yeah. And then finally, there's military. Military lets you reinforce your control tokens to improve their defense and the defense of your cities. Or you get to perform attacks within a number of spaces of a friendly space. So where your cities or control tokens are. Your combat value is going to be based on where it is in the bar. So how combat works is you'll add whatever your offensive combat power is to a die roll. And you're trying to beat their defensive value plus a die roll. So yeah, your offensive capability is where you're on the focus bar plus any trade tokens. Their defense, most of the time, is going to be based on terrain. Barbarians, it's terrain only. Enemy control tokens, terrain, plus any reinforced tokens adjacent to it, including itself, if it's reinforced. A city is worth double the terrain value. And then every reinforced token adjacent to it. There are rewards. Oh, and city-states are just an 8. Just a straight-up 8. They do not want you attacking them at all. Because, yeah, if you destroy a city-state or capture it, you replace it with your own city. Otherwise, for beating barbarians, you get to remove them from the map and put a trade token on any card in your focus bar. And it buys you time to build over their respawn point and keep them from coming back. Unless you're playing as Sumeria, in which case you want them coming back for more resources. Control tokens. You replace it with one of your own, unreinforced. If it's on a natural wonder, you get to take it. Non-capital city. Replace it. Replace it. And then capital city, you take 2 trade tokens from the defending player and add it to your own cards. If the attacker defeats a city that has a World Wonder token, for example, the token remains in the space, and the attacker takes the matching Wonder card. If it was a capital city, the attacker must move the token to one of their own. If the attacker cannot move, then they cannot take the card or token. That's pretty much the gist of it. One last thing, though, with city-states is if someone is in control of a city-state, someone else can liberate it. So instead of replacing the city with their own, they can restore the city-state and takes one of their cards. Yeah. Other stuff, barbarian movement, when it happens, it will roll a die. All the tokens will move that direction. If they can't, they bounce back. If they hit water, they jump over it. If they hit a caravan, it's destroyed. And return to the card. If it's a control token, if it was reinforced, they'll flip it up. If it's not reinforced, it's gone. If it was a city that's not a capital, it's gone. If it's a capital, that player loses 2 tokens from their cards. So if you see barbarians, you want to be protecting yourself very quickly. Like here, this is a risk of hitting the capital in like 2 moves. This city's pretty well locked away from barbarians. Not much to worry about until they start pushing out. Trade tokens. When you actually use the benefit of them, I believe they're completely spent. You have to return them to the supply. That way they can't build up too much. There's not a whole lot of tokens anyway. Alright. But eventually, one player will have put a token on each of these agendas. For each one, you can achieve either the top or the bottom. So getting your dial up to 24 or 2 science wonders. In the long run, this is probably going to be the easier one to do. There's hitting a successful attack on an opponent's city-state, or an opponent's capital, or hitting 2 city-states, or 2 military wonders. 15 control 15 spaces adjacent to water at the edge of the map, or 2 culture wonders. And then the ones that are not in this game, I believe, involve getting all your cities out, getting 5 mature cities, 2 economic wonders, and 2 natural wonders. But eventually someone will hit their required agendas, and it'll go to the end of the round. The player that has all 3 agendas wins, if multiple players do by the end. The player with the most world wonders wins. If there's still a tie, most friendly spaces. Friendly spaces are your cities, your control tokens. Not caravans, though, which is interesting. But anyway. Why do I like this game? I believe I've said before that they streamlined it, and to an extent, it kind of messed with the game a bit by streamlining it. On the other hand, having a game that's playable in a reasonable, Tuesday evening game is greatly appreciated. I also big fan of the hexagon map grid compared to the previous Civs squares. Although I like the old Civs combat system better. The reason why I have this game again is because there's an expansion. It has a 5th player, it adds a whole slew of other stuff that makes the game a lot more interesting. That's what I'm going to pick up as soon as I possibly can. Which is why I decided to go for this game one more time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The big thing is pay attention to what wonders are out there and how you can make the most of them. Make the most of your civilization ability. Think about what order works best for you in your focus bar and try to get cards lined up to just go in that cycle of doing exactly what you need to do. And then make the most of the city-states and figure out a plan for your tech early and how to make the most of that with your plan of getting stuff in order. Yeah, it's not a bad game. It is up there on BGG as, people do like it, and I can see why compared to the previous one. All right. I'm going to take a minute to compare this versus the 2010s version. All right. 2010s version, You discover as you go the map, but it's squares, which uh, uh, the previous version of Civ had its combat card fronts set up, which I think was a little bit more interesting than this. They had the whole culture track with the tokens, which is an interesting approach. They had the tech pyramid instead of the focus bar upgrade cards, which was another interesting approach. But it was also a lot to keep track of. You really didn't want to forget anything. The resources were different and were used towards your tech cards. As opposed to this system, trade tokens for the tech cards, and then the resources towards your wonders. Yeah. Very, very different games. But as much as I miss the older one, I like this one. Again, because I can play it in a Tuesday evening. And it's good for newer players as well. Somewhat newer. At least, having played a few games of, figuring out actions that you want to do each turn and which ones are more valuable to you at the time. Coming from that to this is going to be easier to deal with. But I think most of all, I'm just gunning for the expansion. And I want to make it a point to run that game as much as possible. Because this is a good experience, I think. So yeah. Civ: A New Dawn. Check it out. Check out other Civ games as well. 2010 Civ, and I don't know if the Civ 3 board game is worth checking out, but it exists. There's also the Ancient as Fuck Civ game, which inspired a lot of the computer game stuff, or some of it at least. Just check out a Civ game. Alright, thanks for watching. This has been Pillar Nexus. I'll see you